In terms of world revolutions affecting language, the internet is the contemporary revolution. It follows on from the invention of speech, whenever that was, once upon a time, tens of thousands of years ago, the invention of writing, some 10,000 years ago, the invention of print, some 500 years ago, amazing revolution that, and the invention of broadcasting, 100 years ago nearly, another amazing revolution. And each of these revolutions has had a direct impact on language in the sense that suddenly it allows the language to manifest itself in a completely fresh range of ways. So broadcasting, for example, suddenly brought into existence sports commentary, weather forecasting, news reading, and all of these things which didn't exist before. The internet is our contemporary revolution. The internet, of course, exists in many different forms. It consists of email, the World Wide Web, chat rooms and discussion groups and that sort of thing, and the amazing number of fantasy games that there are, the virtual words games, the Dungeons and Dragons, the Muds and the Moos, and all of these things. And each of these manifestations of the internet is producing new forms of language. Revolutionary forms, things that you could do with a language that you could never do before. For example, in email, it is now possible to cut and paste in unbelievably varied ways. You send me a message, I cut bits out of it, respond to those bits, send it back to you. You then add bits into the message and send it back to me. It's like a play script in an email form. Now, you could never do that with traditional writing, hardly possible. You certainly couldn't do it with speech. I mean, you might be able to get away with it on the BBC with subtle tape editing, but it's not a routine thing. Now it's routine for so many people. Or take chat rooms. The fact that in a chat room you might have 30 people talking to each other on a screen and scrolling down the screen and each person's interventions. You can now listen to 30 people talking simultaneously. You could never do that before. Go to a cocktail party, you can hear the people around you, but you can't listen to what they're saying. You can't pay attention to 30 people at once, but on a screen you can now. These are some of the ways. Oh, another way, the World Wide Web gives you pages in which, in front of your eyes, language now changes colour and moves up and down the screen. I mean, written language never did that. You open a page of a book, traditionally, it's the same page as when you open it in 5 minutes' time. A page on screen can be a totally different looking page in 5 minutes' time. These are different ways that the language is now developing. And it means that it's an enormous new dimension of language, an enrichment, an extraordinary enrichment, which is producing new terms, new styles, new idioms, new locutions, a lot of the cool, geeky language that people use, the text messaging abbreviations that people use on their mobile phones, and all this sort of thing is an enormous expansion in the English language, as of course in other languages. So I see the internet as being a very important way in which minority and endangered languages can make their presence felt, and insofar as all languages in the world feel threatened at some stage or another by English, apart from anything else, it'll be an important way in which they can maintain their global identity also. I mean, everybody wants to use the internet in their own language. It's more comfortable that way. After all, to have to learn English as a foreign language in order to get access to content is a bit of a pain. I mean, it's a lot of work. It is a hard job learning a foreign language to the level where you can really assimilate it and make use of it and get it accurately right and take all that knowledge on board without risking that you're getting something wrong. Hopeless if you keep having to look in your dictionary what's going on the internet. So the thrust towards mother tongue use on the internet is a strong driving force. At the moment, the technology is very much biased towards the English language speaking communities of the world, which is where the technology is. But that will not last for that much longer, and consequently we would then expect to see a much broader language base and a greater balancing out of language presence on the internet.